Anyone telling you to follow your passion is already rich. No kid dreams of being a tax lawyer. The top 10% of tax lawyers probably make over $1 million a year. The top 1% fly private and have a much broader selection set of mates than they deserve.
It's like everyone makes beats, everyone raps. It's a joke.
I don't want to give people hope. Quit. Get out of my way. You're diluting the flow of cash. Move, please. Go into another. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. They're making 6 figures by their second year.
What's going down? We're back on the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, the music business podcast, where we live it so we give it. I think that's the correct order. I am DJ Payne One. I'm here with Erinn Knight and Damien Ritter. How's everyone feeling today?
Feeling good this week. Getting a lot of stuff done. I thought we got some great topics lined up for this session. Erinn, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm in Atlanta. I'm going to be camped out here for about 2 months. I'm actually thinking about moving back. I don't know. I came back and I have some new energy. So I'm tired today, but new emotional and physical and embodied energy. So I'm really rocking with it.
I think the truth is you just can't sit still for too long.
It may be true, but I'm just going to where the money is. Do you know what I'm saying? But also my energy has to be right.
Got you. Before we get too far into this, just know that this episode is brought to you by Two Lost. If you want 3 months free music distribution, go to twolost.com. Use the code MEC. We also have a new app that's available on Google Play and Apple. Check out the app, download it. You can use the promo code on the app as well to sign up if you don't already have an account. As always, would love to hear your feedback. Put it in the comments below. Whoever called me Unk in the comments last week, I'm still upset about that. I am not Unk status yet. I can be big bro. I can be something else, but Unk is wild.
I thought Unk was anyone over the age of 30 now.
It's like anybody over, I think, 35, right? Did y'all see this, how it came out? It's the YNs. The YN cutoff is 23, and then it's bro or big bro from 23 to 30, and then it's big bro or Unk from 30 to 35. 35 plus is Unk.
I don't give a shit about that. I don't. Oh, man. Yeah, anyway, let's talk about some wins from the past week. Payne, what you got for us?
Okay, so you confronted me and asked me why I didn't bring this up. It's because this is brand new and I just officially launched it and started feeling more comfortable about it. But I finally launched the Patreon. So, I'm working on the beat selling course. That's going to take me away from a lot of studio stuff. So I just needed to create some type of community in order to, get some support and give back at the same time. So the Patreon is launched, patreon.com/DJPayne1. And it's cool, man. We're already, I've linked the Discord and all that. It was a pain in the ass, but we're collabing on beats in the Discord. Everyone who joins gets access to the Discord. The higher tiers get access to a sample vault with 10 gigs of samples. It's something ridiculous. It's hundreds and hundreds of samples and drum kits that aren't available anymore because they were old partnerships with companies that folded. So the websites aren't there. I'm giving that all away for free to all the members, and every member that signs up gets free. As long as you're a member, you get free copies of any solo kit that I create, any sample pack, multi-kit, drum kit, whatever. So I'm working on dropping a few this summer. So if you're a member, you get those for free. Patreon.com/DJPayne1. I hope to see you there.
And what is it called, Payne? What did you decide to call it?
I'm calling it Beat Campus because that's going to feed into the course.
Got you. Nice. Erinn, what you got for us this week?
I'm super grateful. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say either of these things, but who cares? I got offered equity in an app this or last week, which is super tight. So just reached out to one of my lawyers, my favorite lawyer, my main general counsel. I was like, hey, I really need you on this one, not the contract lawyers and stuff. And he's like hyped on it, but it's an app that me and my business partners utilize in Austin. We're their top creator on the app. And so in order to slow down payouts, they offered us equity, and they offered it to us individually, which is super tight. So I'm hyped on that. And then I won't say the app because I know I'm not supposed to. I don't even think I'm supposed to talk about the equity part, but shout out to that. And then another one is Music Biz. I thought I was just going to attend with the nonprofit that I represent here in Atlanta. I got a ticket through them. And then I was reached out to by Jump Global because, they rep a lot of the different panels and stuff. Shout out to Jump. And they asked me to interview Kane Brown's team on the main stage. So I'm hyped. It's the first year that Music Biz is in Atlanta, my hometown. And I've been, dabbling in country, working in the space, and really getting on the interview side of panels and stuff like that. So I'm really hyped because I think it's such a cool opportunity to interview the management and booking team, or management and marketing team for somebody who's killing it in country music right now. So shout out to Kane Brown and his team. I'm really excited to be a part of Music Biz and interview them and really dive into their business model.
Dope. And like I discussed before this was on, Two Lost will be at Music Biz as well. We're sponsoring the brunch and putting together hopefully something that's available just to the public that we'll work on it this week and hopefully announce it next week. But on my side, just bouncing back from a pretty tough week, I had quite a few things kind of knock me off my square last week. So there was a lot of things that happened positively in the past couple of days. But let me just talk about DreamCon for a second. DreamCon is the biggest, actually, I've been informed that it's the biggest Black convention in the States at this point. RDC World puts on a convention for creators. It now draws over 23,000 creators, and it's in Houston this year. And we'll have a large presence at DreamCon. So Big Ja and Persephone and E will be talking about the lesbian homie on one of the panels there. I will be on the music panel. Two Lost is now a sponsor of DreamCon, so I'll be on one of the music panels. And then the collective of comedians that I work with will be taking over half of the comedy showcase that happens Saturday night. So there'll be a lot of activity for us that weekend. We're looking forward to it. But that's just one of a few things. I guess I won't get into anything else. I've just been having a good past couple of days after a pretty rough week. So, got to bounce back. But let's jump into these topics. I know that we are talking about a comment that LaRussell made on maybe a recent podcast. Not sure when he talked about this, but this one should be quick.
Yeah, of course, I muted it.
Sell 100 to 200 tickets to do shows, but it's like if you got 10 niggas who fuck with you in your hometown, do a show for 10 niggas.
Really?
Hell yeah. Because I was there.
You want to catch a vibe up for 10 niggas in the crowd?
10 niggas turn to 20, 20 turn to 40, 40 turn to 80, 80 turn to 160. Nigga, keep adding up. If I got 10 niggas and I'm in the backyard, I'm in the garage, 10 niggas pull up and I got merch and every hoodie going for $20. I just made 200. I made 10 off each ticket, another 100. That's 300. Nigga, we breaking this down and we gonna keep building it. But niggas try to wait, and it's like if you wait, you may never even get people in the building. You got to give a nigga an experience for them to go tell the homie. I done been there and I've seen it build.
Like artists, when folks be trying to make a point, they love talking about like the revenue side of the equation. They don't ever dip into the costs. Even when people, I really hate when people compare like streams to selling merch. They'll be like, oh, it takes X amount of streams to make $1,000, but you can sell 50 hoodies at $20 a pop or 20 hoodies at $50 a pop. Like, number one, like it's just easy to sell hoodies like that. And then number two, like it costs a lot of money to make hoodies. Like you need a good amount of money up front. I think the hoodies that we make now, especially with the times and, I don't even know how the tariffs have impacted shit, but like, each hoodie is like $25, $30 to make. So stop comparing like gross revenue to streaming. Yeah, but anyway, back to LaRussell. I definitely have some thoughts on this, but I want to get your guys' immediate reaction. Payne, what do you think about what LaRussell said?
I mean, I agree with the spirit of the conversation as far as people needing to start from the ground up, and that's often something that anyone in the music business entering into the music business, or really any small business, needs to understand. If your goal is growth, or if your goal is success, then growth is almost always incremental. And a lot of people just have this instant gratification mindset where they somehow expect their first performance to be a sold out show. They somehow expect their first release to be a massive hit. And that's just not how it works. That's just no. So you hear people who are completely paralyzed. They don't want to release any music. They don't want to play a show. They don't want to have a release party, nothing. And they don't ever grow because they're always waiting. It's always, do you know those artists where the artists, they come around periodically, they're like, man, I got this idea. I got this is going to be huge. I'm like, just drop the music. I don't want to hear about this shit. Drop the goddamn music, because what's the term? Delayed gratification. Man, the music business, I swear, I'm going to make a whole video about this. The key to the music business for most people who are successful is delayed gratification, I swear. And needing everything to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect, so you're never going to drop. Feeling like everything has to be the biggest success every time you do anything, you're going to get demoralized and you're going to give up. It's got to be realistic. You got to grow.
I don't even think it needs to be delayed gratification. I don't know if we're going to hit on it today, but you sent that Metro Boomin clip to us, and he was just like, I do this because I love it. The byproduct and the benefit is just the cherry on top. But he was like, I just do this because I love it. And he made a point about artists, like people who paint and different things, like they're just doing it because it's cathartic and it feeds their soul. He's like, I'd be making beats the same way. And I heard that and I was like, man, he's right. Like, part of my big origin story is that my brother's art was in the High Museum, which is a really prestigious, like the most prestigious museum here in Atlanta, and a part of a really prestigious music system or museum system. And it's what really like showed me anybody can do anything. I was like 12, 13, and my brother was 16 in the museum. He's an oil controller. He works for an oil company. Half of the art hanging up in his house is stuff that he's painted. Like, his wife wanted some flowers at the store, and like a picture, like multiple pictures. He just took a picture. He's like, I'm going to paint this for you, right? Because my brother loves to paint, and it's just like a part of his process as a human, you know? So I think that it can't even be delayed gratification. I was thinking about this morning. I am very tired, right? And I'm super congested. I have taken so many flights in the last 2 weeks that I'm just like, my head is like this. But it's this like grind, and we talked about this obsession with like being who you're supposed to be and getting better at it. So what LaRussell is talking about, I very much agree with, because it's my story as well, right? Like, 2 weeks ago in Austin, we did 1,000 people at an event. Our next event is my birthday, and I'm hoping that we do the most people we've ever done at an event, right? And it's like, that event was free and then tiered out paid things, but we're about to do one in July that's all paid, right? So I'm going to see if I can beat my single day ticket sales, which is 1,000 people. Like, we've done 884 before. So, but the first shows that I ever threw were in garages, and we would get 2 12-packs of beer, and we'd be like, hey, everybody come toss a couple dollars in the guitar case. Do you know what I'm saying? And it would be like, we would be so hyped if we could get 15 people there. And then that concept took us on the road. We were in the UK doing the same thing. Like, yo, just give us a garage or a backyard. Let your friends come tip us. We did an entire tour for 2.5 months in the UK, supplementing our booked shows with things like that. And that's what paid us. So I very much resonate with this. Like, if it's 10 folks, just do the 10 folks, because you're waiting for your stadium moment that's never going to come. And I've seen it. And it's because there are muscles developed in the practice of building these short shows. And there's an attractiveness that comes with somebody who's skilled at what they're doing, whether it be on a big scale or on a small scale. So if I do a version of my new series called Easy Genius and I only invite 15 people, they're going to love it. The experience is going to be so tailored and incredible. But if I do 1,000 people at a massive venue in Austin, Texas, they're still going to love it because there's a thought and there's an intention behind it. So that only comes when you get your legs ready, when you get your reps up, and when you're consistent about building with the people who care about what you're doing.
My take on this, I mean, I definitely like Payne. Like, I agree with the spirit of the conversation, and like, you know, if you throw a show and like you expect 200 people to show up and then 10 people show up, I think we all can agree that you should still perform that show as if it's a packed house and give them a great experience. I can also see it make sense to do a show for 10 people if you're just looking to get the reps, or if you're looking to kind of brand that experience. And whatever that experience is, you should have a strategy for sharing it online, sharing it on social media, for that to be kind of like your thing. Maybe like an intimate show is how you brand this experience, and you call it something, and that's something exclusive to you and your brand and the story that you're trying to tell. But a lot of times it's not cost effective to throw a show for 10 people unless you plan on just having people come over to the garage, or do like Anise did and go to the Santa Monica Pier and just have people come out and vibe out, a little acoustic guitar situation. So if you think about it more strategically, or it hits any of the things that I just mentioned, then sure, you know, throw a show for 10 folks. But, you know, I would probably think more online first if I only have 10 people that want to show up to a show. Like, you know, because I would probably think about creating an experience online where I play online live for 10 people, and, you know, just think about growing it that way. So yeah, I rock with the sentiment. I like the energy that he approaches it with. But again, if he has people involved in the show, like, how are you going to pay those people? You're gonna have to come out of pocket, because those hoodies that he's selling for $20, I know he at least $10 to make the hoodies. I don't even know where you can get it.
Way more than that. I mean,
I don't know a quality hoodie for 20, like a quality hoodie at this point. I mean, if you guys know something cheaper than $20, please let me know, because
I do. I got you, Dave.
oh yeah.
U.S. made too, and in L.A.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Printed? Or just...
No, not out the door. I'm talking about blanks. Oh, no, absolutely not. No, what? No.
Bagged and tagged? $20?
No, I'll say because you got to get the tags somewhere different. That's what the tariffs are eating me up on, the tags right now. I got to get my tags in America. That sends the price way up now.
Yeah. So bottom line is, like, I love the energy, love the sentiment, agree to some extent, but be strategic with it. Be, you know, if it's part of like a branded thing, like, how is this part of the story that you're telling it? Or if it's just you trying to get reps, then do as many shows as you can, you know, just to perfect your performance. Because that, you know, if you want touring to be a part of your business going forward, you're going to have to put on a good live show. You know,
but I also think, Dave, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think telling people because you're going to spend money, like, it takes money to make money. I also think if you're just doing a solo show and you only have 10 fans, collaborate with somebody who has 5 fans, and then another person who has 8 fans, and then y'all can have 25 people in somebody's backyard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those moments when I think, all right, do we really need to spoon feed the logic to people? Because, you know what I'm saying? I mean, are there going to be people, and there probably are there going to be people who look at this La Russell clip and think, okay, all I have to do is sell hoodies for 20 and consistently get 10 people at my shows? Like that, I don't think that's what La Russell's trying to say. He's saying, if you're at the point where you only have 10 fans, then give them a great experience and try to monetize it in whatever way you can, because there's still potential there.
He's saying 10 fans locally who will come to his show. That's different than 10 fans, because that means you probably have hopefully a couple hundred people online rocking with you. If you have 10 people willing to commit to come see you, you probably already have a little bit of traction.
Well, even if you
That's
don't.
why when I say 1,000 people for free, I don't care what anybody says, you could never shit on me because I know people with hundreds of thousands of followers who can't get 1,000 people to show up for free. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think 10 people pulling up is more than just you got 10 fans.
Yeah, I'm saying though, like if your the first 5 shows you book and you get 10 people out, at least be prepared with merchandise. At least be prepared or don't. It doesn't matter. I think the real spirit of the conversation is just give whoever shows up a good experience and grow from there. That's just how it is. Just start where you are and grow. Nothing else. Don't focus on what could have been. Don't focus on what other people have. Focus on what you have going on and grow from there. And I feel like that's common sense, but it's also probably not.
But I think the difference here is like intentionally throwing a show, knowing that only 10 people will show up. Like we would have never, because of we were doing so many things effectively online, like that was never something that we would consider because it was just like, because let's just say we thought we only had 10 people that would show up to a show in Orlando or whatever. We would just skip Orlando and wait until the numbers got better there because of all of the stuff that we were doing online. So I think that's the difference. Like, should you intentionally throw a show?
I did. That's how I started my career. You know what I'm saying? My guys got booked for one show. Their friend was like, can you come open? There's probably 35 people at that show. And we wanted to start doing shows in venues more. So I was like, same like you. I'm like, it makes no sense for us to spend $350 to get this venue on a Wednesday night. And we just paid for 35 people and this band is bigger than us. So I was like, Dustin, clean out your garage. Cause that's where the guys were practicing. So I was like, we about to start throwing shows in your garage. And I wanted to make it recurring. So once a month we throw garage shows. First time I think we had 12 people plus Dustin's mom, me, and the band. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was like, but the neighbors started walking down the street because they heard us playing out the garage. Then they were like, oh, there's a band who lives in our neighborhood. Oh, we'll toss you, soccer moms and stuff started tossing 20, whatever. We made more per head on that show than we did on the 35 show when we had real merch. We didn't even bring the merch to the garage because we didn't think nobody was going to buy it. I think we made like $120, $130 that night, which was super tight for us because the most we had ever got paid for a show was $200 when our homies, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't even have to leave the crib for real. So I thought that we did that regularly. That's really how my career started, like throwing garage shows.
Dope. Well, yeah, bottom line, be strategic, get your reps in, figure out how to put on a dope show. Let's get on to the next topic. We spent too much more time than I anticipated on that one. What do we got next?
Have you ever met an aspiring musician, whether it's a producer, rapper, whose entire goal when they started was to get rich and make money off the music business? For sure. Did they succeed with that mindset?
No.
So that was their primary goal?
Yeah, they were like, I'm going to make music, I'm going to get rich.
Not off top. Not anybody else.
Me neither. And like, I've met people who thought there was money in the music business, and there is, and they figured they were going to get it. But unless they change their mentality at some point, the people that walk into the music business saying, oh, it's just a get rich quick scheme. You see that all the time from people who don't know shit. Music business is just a get rich quick scheme, making beats.
Who's
especially
getting rich quick? I need to know. Show
nobody.
me.
No, it's just people on the outside looking in because they see, for example, someone like Metro Boomin. He's, obscenely rich at this point, tens of millions of dollars. Those deals are public, but that's what people see. They don't see pre-$1 million Metro. Of course not, because why would they? You don't see people. It's not interesting to see people struggle when they're obscure. That's the point of that's what obscurity means.
Find it out. I don't have no ulterior motives when it comes to making music. Like not for no money, not for no accolades, not for no girls, no cars, no jewelry. Like none of that shit, bro. Like I've always just purely loved making music. So in the time of me purely loving to make music, it's never been no pressure on, oh man, I ain't on yet. Like, I don't care, bro. I could see God forbid, but like, what if I never had ended up? That would have been fine with me because it's just something I purely love to do. Like, a nigga who love to draw or paint. Like, those are pure artists. Like, they're not tripping off that. It brings them peace and joy to do what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And just excitement. So, like, that's always what it's been. So I feel like me just being so pure with it, that's why things happen the way they do, because it's like, it's no other ulterior motives or intentions with it.
And he used the P word twice. That's the word that Timberland used to describe AI music, but Metro Boomin is a human. So I feel like the purity factor here is something that I kind of picked up on, because there is, and and I'm not saying I disagree with what he's saying. I do. I think there's just some nuance that I want to dig into, because there is this narrative that people who aren't making money off of music are pure, and the people who are making money off their music are corrupted. And I'm not saying that's what Metro's saying. It's not at all. And I believe everything he's saying, because, and you were there, Erinn. I mean, in Atlanta, when Metro had his initial run, I don't think he was a millionaire then, but he was on everything. And I was just like, this man, how is he? Everything is a Metro beat. Everything is, there's no way he's not going to succeed. But he was just making music like it was oxygen for him. He just was making beats. I feel like Mike Will was kind of on a similar run, but it felt like Metro just had way more than anybody.
Turbo is on a run like that right now too.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the obsession that comes in, and people are just like, I think all of us would do what we do to an extent. Like I would have a beat making setup. I know so many producers that make beats, they don't even sell them. It's just something that they enjoy doing, and that's fine, because that's what they want to do. But I think it's just a more complicated dynamic. I don't think if anyone's trying to get into the music business to make money, you're not going to make money. I think you've even it's already hard to make money in the music business with the right mentality. When you got the wrong mentality, that's even more of a handicap. But for example, like for me, I never thought I could make beats for a living when I was first making beats. So I didn't try. I never focused on making money. The other part of this, which is the ugly side, is that I vilified the people who did. Because I'm like, oh, all these guys are making money off of beats. What a bunch of sellouts. Oh, they don't want to help me out. I'm a nobody. I've never done shit that means anything to everybody. They should be helping me. They should be giving me handouts and opportunities. But they're corrupted by money. So I feel like there are benefits and drawbacks to being in this pure moneyless state. And then there are, benefits to being in the money-making mode. So I'm curious. I have a couple. I'm curious to hear yours. I would say the benefits of just starting out and not making money, one would be experimentation, because you don't feel pressured to make something that's going to make money. Two, it's maybe potentially more fun, but this could change. I think it's fun to make money doing what you love. That feels really gratifying and validating. Three, I think when you're not making any money, you're more willing to collaborate with others, because there's no, like now people contact me all the time, hundreds of people saying, I want to collaborate. And it's like, but you only want to collaborate because you think I'm making money, right? So I have this paranoia where it's like, well, you're not making money. You think that you're going to collaborate with me and make money. And that's the wrong reason to collaborate with someone. And it's not realistic. I can't collaborate with that many people. So it's just not going to happen. But if you're not making money, you might only have 5 people around you that just want to hang out and get high and make beats together. And that's what you do. I think number 4, you have fewer expectations and therefore fewer disappointments. Last week, we covered Brick talking about how depressing the music business was, because he's already in the music business at a high level of success. If he had never gone 8 times platinum off of I Spy, he probably wouldn't have, like once you see the top of the mountain, you always you expect that view. But when you're back to the bottom, you're like, damn, I was at the top a second ago. So fewer disappointments. And then lastly, of course, your art's not corrupted, whatever that means. People love to throw that word around. I don't know what it means. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, this is the first time I think I've heard Metro talk. I rock with Metro. I really have never heard him talk before. I don't know if he's always, articulated himself like this.
Same person.
But yeah, definitely impressed with, just the way he, just what he was saying and kind of how he was articulating it. So I think it's dope. I was actually just had lunch with a young producer, and he got a couple of big placements last year on Big Sean's record. But he also is a senior manager at like a cybersecurity firm. And he's just in a real comfortable place because there's no pressure. I think ultimately, yeah, he would love to do music, music full time. But I feel like you have to really understand the business, obviously put forth the effort, be strategic, build the right relationships. But we talked a lot of times, like all you guys should have a job for the most part, because ultimately you got to pay your bills. But, it's great to be in a position where you can just create, naturally with no, expectation to fit a certain formula or to step outside of, what you want to create. So I like that clip a lot for sure.
Yeah, because there are the people that just love making music and they also love their careers. And it sounds like the producer you just had lunch with loves their careers. I know other producers who have. Oh, he doesn't?
He doesn't.
Okay, well then he might be a Bubba Got Beats kind of situation, because I interviewed Bubba Got Beats, who's the guy behind the 10 Toes Challenge. Everyone did it. Rod Wave did it before he was famous. Everyone did the 10 Toes Challenge. And he, when I talked to him, was still working and in the same field, IT. He was some kind of higher level IT guy. And I asked him, would you ever quit your IT job and go music full time? Because you're already making a good living off of music. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. Well, a year later, he quit his job and is doing music full time. So things change. And I think money can help that. And so I don't look at that as corruption. I look at it as freedom. So but I'm in a space where all my bills are being paid by music. And a lot of people can't relate to that, which is strange because it's like there's this logical hump between making money at your job and then making money off of doing what you love. And people don't understand that they're the same thing. There are some differences, but ultimately they're the same thing. So I would say the drawbacks to being in a position where you're making music entirely as your income is one. Sorry. Not making money off of your music. The drawbacks are, one, you don't have a schedule for yourself because you don't need one. Most people who just make music for fun don't regiment their music making because they prioritize what's making the money, which is another conversation. Number two, lack of consistency. Again, because you're prioritizing other parts of your life. If you have a job that's paying all your bills and you're comfortable, you're like, oh, let me start a family. Let me drink on the weekends. Let me do all these other things that are taking me away from music. And so it kind of dilutes the obsession of the music making. I've seen that a million times. Three, potential lack of social grace. Because a lot of people, if you don't feel like there are consequences in your future for your actions, you may be more willing to burn bridges. If you're not making money in the music business, I can cuss anyone I want out. I can make, a lot of producers in the community who don't feel like they're being embraced by the community will just try to burn it down. And then eventually they might want to live in that community. And they're like, no, we don't want you here because you just made all these nasty videos and called too many people out for no reason. Number four, never releasing music. Why release music if there's no financial benefit to it? I just want to make it. And, some people, that's fine. But I think most artists want their art out. That's why we make it. Lastly, I'd say eventual resentment towards the people who turned it into a living. A lot of folks resent the people that did what they felt they couldn't. And then you hear, I know in the producer world, I hear producers say all the time, I only make beats for fun. I do this for myself. I don't care who likes it. Anyone who's making music for money is corrupted. They're just making trash because they think other people are going to like it. I'm just making it because I don't care. Then I'm like, well, why are you commenting if you don't care? Why do you have a YouTube channel if you don't care? Why do you have a beat store if you don't care? Why do you have a Spotify if you don't care? I believe one of the hardest things as a musician is being honest with oneself. and admitting when you're scared. And being scared of success, to me, being scared of failure and being scared of success are the same thing. Because if you're afraid to fail, then you won't succeed, because the road to success is paved by your failures. So I think ultimately music and art is for everybody. Depending on what you want to do with it, just be honest with yourself and figure out if that's truly what you want to do. I don't want people to scare themselves into not pursuing something that they love as a career. There are strategic ways of doing it that works for people. Sometimes people just jump out the window and say, I'm quitting all my jobs and doing this full time. Sometimes that works for them too, having their backs against the wall. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to work for you. I just don't want people limiting themselves because either they expect to make a bunch of money, which isn't realistic, or they expect to never make money, which is self-defeating.
Now, so on the business side, however, there are definitely people that come in here just for making money, and there are some people that are successful. So I don't think all these arguments hold true for people.
I need the blueprint. How does that work?
What do you
just
mean?
Be gready as shit and finesse. That's what it is.
No, I mean, all of the finance companies that we're talking about that are jumping into the space, they're just they're just in for the. There's managers, there's managers. I would say most managers are in it for the money.
What?
Or not because they're getting it, but because they're expecting it.
Well, okay, that's like on them.
2 years into my career, I started doing some quick math. I'm like, all right, we made like $8,000 this year. Okay. And I made nothing because $8,000 isn't worth taking a percentage of. I started thinking, I'm like, even if these guys make $100,000, that's only $20,000 before tax with me if they're making that net, right? I'm talking about 2 years in. I'm like, okay, if it takes us even 3 more years to get to 100K, I gotta start diversifying where I think I'm gonna make money from, because I'm gonna be a nanny for way longer if I think these dudes are about to make me money. And to me, they were the most talented artists that I had come across, like ever, like as a young manager, like accessible, not like Billboard chart topping star. So like that's actually surprising, but I did grow somebody from most artists that I ever worked with. I grew from 0 to full-time or part-time-ish to like multiple 6 figures. So I've always kind of started from a smaller place, but even when I had a roster of several 6-figure earning artists, I had a team. Managers getting it for money, the headache isn't worth it. You could do something way more simple and clock out. What?
Yes, I understand. Yeah. Yes, you understand that now because you have experience. And I'm saying that most managers think they're going to get money. The money and the association is something cool. I would say that most managers are in it. I would say that most managers are in it because they think they're going to make money.
That's actually surprising to me. I just love people so much and music so much. That's why I got into it. Yeah. It just blows my mind that people, like, especially managers, are getting in for money. But I could see it because a lot of managers just want to be rappers. I've learned that, so I could see it.
But it's also why there's probably not that many good managers. Like, it's hard to find. It's hard to find a good manager, because a good manager that really understands the job knows what that road is going to be like before they actually see any type of money. But for sure, I think most managers think they're going to make a bread. They think it's cool. They want the association with an artist that's popping. I wouldn't hesitate to say that.
You know what, though? I'm going to say it's good, though, that the managers are more money motivated than the artists, because that's kind of the whole point. I mean, same with lawyers. They're about the money. If you can find someone that truly cares about you and is about the money, then great. That's an amazing combination, because they're going to fight for you in ways that you as an artist shouldn't, and probably don't know how to, and probably are unwilling to, because you're such an artist. You're just a ball of emotion. You don't want to offend people or burn bridges, but people fully expect a manager or a lawyer to be ready to hit that red button on a situation, whereas the artist isn't, and then we don't take on the blame. We might have a reputation about us that says something to the effect of, oh, they have a manager that doesn't play, which is like, cool. He's cool, but his manager is an asshole. Great. I love that dynamic. Because we're all just playing roles. It should be, at the end of the day, it should be like theater any damn way. You know, we're all playing our roles. The manager's not really a jerk. He just knows that he cares about he or she or they care about the artist enough to play that role and play it well so that they get compensated and that the manager themselves get compensated. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to like the VC bros that I talked about this, because this is just a wild story. The reason we have a record with Wiz Khalifa is because the Static Selector beat had a sample from a record that was owned by a label who was bought out by a bunch of venture capitalists. And then they jacked the price up for sample clearance to $80,000 for that track because they were just all about trying to make money. And I think, all right, venture capitalists fail every day. So just because they're coming into the music business like sharks doesn't mean they're going to win. They're not going to eat like sharks necessarily. A lot of sharks die. So, the ones that are at the top, yeah, they're entirely about money. You think these major label owners aren't about money, or like the owners of, successful distro companies. Yeah, they're in there for the money, and that's capitalism.
That's like a different side of the industry to me, though, than
way different.
You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I do agree with that, because it's like a VC wouldn't come in if they didn't think there was money. I think like to bring the point home with Metro, I think if you see anybody outlasting in the music industry, 9 times out of 10 is because they actually genuinely care. Whether they're making millions or they've just been sustaining for years, you're not going to see people stick around, because I personally don't believe that people who don't care are going to make a trend of making money. There's probably a small group of outliers. There's probably some highly connected people. But even when you look at people who are extremely connected and come from families of money and have all the assets and resources, you still have to care about it and love it to stick around. Like I think of somebody like Benny Blanco, like his family he come from old money, and he still cares about this. You know what I'm saying? Like he's here, he's around, he's got hit after hit after hit. He's engaged to a millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. He's just making music every day because he cares. And I think that there are a lot more people that I encounter like that daily than the people who are just here for the greed. And everybody who I know on the artist side who's gotten in for money is in jail, unfortunately.
All bad. All right, Erinn, let's jump into your topic so we can wrap this up in 20 or so minutes.
Should I just play it?
Yeah, you can hit play.
The less sexy an industry, the greater the return on your capital. I mean, we're just talking about the creative industry. You have to be in the top 1%, if not the top 0.1%. Last year, 83% didn't qualify for health insurance because they didn't make $23,000. And basically, it has almost an 80% unemployment rate. You want to be in modeling, sports, nightclubs, hospitality, fashion, anything that sounds cool. And I don't want to crush your dreams, but if you aren't getting bright green signals that you might be in the top 1.1%, go do something that sounds much less romantic. But at NYU, we invite 2 types of speakers. One, really impressive credentialed people, or billionaires. And they always end the session with the worst advice you can give to a young person. Follow your passion. Anyone telling you to follow your passion is already rich. And the guy telling you to follow your passion made his billions in iron ore smelting. Here's what you do. When you're young, you want to find out what you're good at and what you could be amazing at. And ideally in an industry that has a 90+% employment rate. No kid dreams of being a tax lawyer. The top 10% of tax lawyers probably make over $1 million a year. The top 1% fly private and have a much broader selection set of mates than they deserve, because they went into something that didn't have an overabundance of human capital. Every tax lawyer is employed.
But it's embarrassing to be a liberal now. When you say...
What is that shit?
Yo, hilarious.
Got a little glimpse into Payne's TikTok algorithm.
No, I don't even use TikTok other than to post our clips. And I tried to train the algorithm to be music-focused content, and now I'm getting all this weird political stuff.
Yeah, I love this conversation, but I want to see y'all's takes. So Dane, what is your thoughts on what he had to say?
The only thing I would disagree with is like, I'm a cat that thinks words matter. And because a lot of people are confusing what they like to do with their passion, right? To me, if it's a passion, you're going to go to the edge of the earth to figure shit out. And if that's what music is for you and you can develop the skill, learn the business, approach the business the right way, the way I say, do all the things that you don't want to do, right? Ultimately, that's what success in life to me is. Like, it's the people that can do the things that they don't want to do are the people that end up winning. And in music, if you want to get to the top, there's going to be a lot of things that you don't want to do. You probably complained about 10. If you complained about 10 things already this week, this is not your passion. That's the only thing that I would that's the only thing that I would kind of disagree with. Like, if it truly is your passion, then you're doing this every day. Like, nobody has to, encourage you, motivate you. You're doing something every day to figure this shit out. And I think that's ultimately where most of these artists go wrong. Like, you're not really passionate about it. You are kind of driven by money. You are kind of lazy. It's not your true passion. But I probably fall into this guy's camp. I probably would give advice like him. It would just be a little different.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is that within the creative industry, granted, it's a sexy industry from the outside looking in. And again, a lot of people who get in, they might not be motivated simply by money, but many of them are motivated by luxury. And there's no luxury in the grind at all. Everything Metro was talking about before he made it to where he was just, I'm guessing, doing very unsexy, unluxurious shit. Just sitting in a smoky studio with a laptop. How many producers go through that? When I started making beats, everyone laughed because it was so fucking stupid. I got into an argument with an old friend. He said, I'll see you on the way down. Because the expectation was you're not going to succeed in music because it's
That's
like the guy
plan.
was. Well, it was like during a falling out. Right. And I said some nasty shit. He said some nasty shit. But the point was the perception.
That's a cornball thing to say.
I don't even think that way.
Cinematic.
So like what? Like who's like? It's like a weird way to curse somebody at the end of the relationship. So it makes sense that you're like it was ending. That's wild.
Well, it was kind of a compliment too, because if he's going to see me on the way down, at some point I was up. But anyway, having said that, the perception of being a producer back then, because no one knew what a producer did. This was like the early 2000s when this happened. This was like 2001, 2002. No one gave a fuck about producers. They didn't even know what a producer did. And if they did, they're like, oh, you push those little buttons and the stupid ass beat comes out that no one likes. The songwriters, the rappers, the singers, the guitarists, they're the real musicians. We romanticize that, but not the production. So it's like, cool. I had to do all this unsexy stuff because there was no glitz and glam. No one cared about what I was doing. Then there's a point where production became cool and people gave a fuck. And then it became so cool that it was corny. And now I feel like we're in the it's corny again phase where it's like everyone makes beats, everyone raps. It's a joke. Oh, you got a beat store. Oh, you got a mixtape. Oh, you got an album. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, you got an OnlyFans. It's all the same. It's just everyone's doing something. So now it's become corny again.
Oh, you got a podcast.
Or yeah, the podcast. But at least we're not an alpha male podcast. So because we're not red pill, we kind of get a pass. So we don't anyway. But yeah, like you got to work through the unsexy shit in these sexy industries. There's so much mud and dirt under your fingernails. But at the end of it, you come out looking well manicured because that's the public facing image. And you know what I mean? There are many layers. And so I agree with what he's saying. I just want to add another dimension to it.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, we've talked about this before. It's essentially supply and demand. For industries where there's high demand, there's going to be a lot of people that want to be that. The same with like an NBA player. The only difference in the NBA and trying to pursue music is that there are kind of like natural cutoffs where you just know you can't compete, right? Like if you get cut from your high school team, you should probably start thinking about either you got to bust your ass before you graduate to play varsity. But if you never make your varsity team, you're not going to the NBA, and it's obvious that that's the case. Like, so you can't you're not going to play college ball. You're not, so I just wish that there were some like natural like cutoffs in music where if you don't get to this place, like you got to pivot. But there's not. You can continue to believe that you're going to sell out Madison Square Garden for the rest of your life, and there's no cut. Like no coach is going to cut you. You gotta come to that determination on your own. And some people are able to do that at 16, and some people, 48.
There's so many artists. There's so many talented humans that the marketer who's talking, he's intelligent. His name is Scott Galloway. I can never remember his name, but there's so many humans in this creative industry that I wish would just quit on this like grandiose dream, right? Because it's like you have so much talent and benefit to this world that music could aid in. Right? Like, stop seeing yourself at Madison Square Garden. Yes, I, the person who owns a company called Build Your Own Dreams, am asking you to stop dreaming because you are spending so much time on that dream. You're not developing the other core skill sets that would actually get you there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you may end up at Madison Square Garden as a podcaster selling out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be wild, but you're so gung-ho about being a singer or a rapper on that stage. And it's like, bro, I think that so many people, I talked about this recently. I just shot like a 4-day documentary. And one of the things I was talking about in it was that so many people are married to their idea of greatness. They think that the place that they're excited to iterate in is the place that they're going to stay. So all of their dreams come from that. My thing is like greatness is inevitable for me. I am a success story every single day and have been since the beginning of time. But now it's just a trend that you see. Whatever I do is going to be successful because I'm obsessed with that. But it's not obsessed with, oh, I got to be the biggest manager or I got to be this or I got to be that. Every time one of my dreams dies, it makes space for me to be bigger, right? When I realized I did not want to be the biggest manager in the world, I also realized I don't ever want to manage an artist who's playing stadiums, arenas, even convention centers. Like, no, because by the time if my little shits are getting upset right now or pissing me off right now, by the time they get to that level, I'm not even going to be able to talk to you. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to like let some stuff go. All the skills that I learned as a manager make me incredible in business right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm still growing. I just negotiated one of the wildest deals I have ever gotten for somebody 2 days ago. And it all came from my skill set as a manager. It was a music deal. I didn't even make any money off of it. I just was like, no, I got you. And it took me 3 weeks, but I was able to get them an incredible deal. And I'm obsessed with negotiation. I love business. If I had been stuck in, well, the only way that I can iterate in this life is to be a music manager, I wouldn't be living the life that I'm living right now, right? And the life that I'm about to live and the one in the future. So like, I want people to hear these stats. This man said 83% of people who work in creative industries last year could not qualify for health insurance because they didn't make $23,000. People may laugh at that, but I lived that. Like, I remember one year, my first year trying to take the leap as a manager. I moved back in with my parents. I made $21,000. I said, nah, I got to figure some other shit out. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it was like I didn't have no bread. 26, 27, making that type of money, insane. So I was like, no, this doesn't make sense. But it's because I was analytically looking at the data. Like, if I do a 20% year over year increase, this is never going to be enough for me. Right. So then I'm like, okay, the dude said 80% of people, are essentially in poverty working in the creative industry. If you could just get outside yourself and either say, I'm going to make a living off of this and go balls to the wall, or this is just going to be a hobby, I think that it would clear the path for a lot more people.
So yes, the point is still taken that it's incredibly hard and a very small percentage of people are able to do this. I say this all the time. However, the one thing I will say is in that percentage, it's not people that really work. Like there's not that many of the percentage of the people he's talking about that I would consider like work in the industry. Like
I was working $21,683. I was working.
This is the second time this podcast where you've taken something that I've said like more generally, like very personally, and like called yourself out as the outlier. I get it. I'm not talking to you like personally. What I'm saying is even the person that uploaded one song to Spotify this year is included in that 83%. Right? So yes, the numbers are still it's still a slight chance that you're going to be successful in music, but most of the people in that 83% aren't really like working in the industry yet. That's the only piece of encouragement.
Well, where do they source these stats from? Because if those people aren't even working, then what is it? It's just self-reported. I'm curious as how they collect those data.
It was a full creative industry. Now, he's a data analyst, so he's very, very I follow a lot of his work, and his marketing company has an entire data surveying and selling side. So I don't really doubt stats when he's quoting them, because that's the whole world. I'm not saying he's 100%, but that's the world he lives in. So I'm not sure, but I know that they do a ton of independent research, and then he also works with research. Like he works with Johns Hopkins, also to UCLA, also to industry, trying to survey these things in creative industries.
I would just love it if we knew what because the criteria for being a creative don't really exist, because it's just, are you a creative? Yep. What's your medium? This. Okay, you're in. You're part of the stats. But it's not, as Dame was saying to his point, I would just survey the people that are working 5 hours a day on their creative endeavor, or, the people that are, I don't know, there has to be something to separate the person that paints once a year or that has 3 songs on Spotify and the people that are doing it full time, but not making a full-time living, just so that are the stats more encouraging? Are they less encouraging? Are they more realistic? Because I think something that we always go back to is what we would consider a fact, that most people who say they're in the music business aren't actually working or living as though they're in the music business. They're doing it as a hobbyist, and a hobbyist that's actually passionless. And the people that are obsessed that actually really work, there are far fewer of those. So when someone says, wow, man, the music business is so saturated, it's like, yeah, it's saturated, but it's, it's like saying, I don't know, it's like going to a bar and saying there are so many guys here and only 10 women. It's like, yeah, but the majority of the men are under the age of 5. So they don't even qualify.
I think it's important for me to take these stats personally, or when you're pulling stuff out though, Dame, because kind of to what Payne's point is, if there's not a representative for the people who are in the industry, then the misrepresentation is now, well, if I work, I won't have to suffer. I'll make money. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're oh, well, those people probably really aren't working, so they're not making any bread. If I'm saying, no, I was working and I wasn't making bread. I want people to know that even if you're in this industry, you're full of passion, you got that get up and go, insatiable, there's still going to be a lot of trial and error. Even in that, I consider myself in the top 1% of this. I don't know anybody who I started with who is still going. I don't know, not one. Now we've pivoted. Some people have pivoted a little bit, but I don't know anybody 14 years ago. So I'm taking it personally, because I'm saying I do think that I have to represent myself within the stat. Do you know what I'm saying?
but I'm agreeing with his point. Like I'm agreeing with his point. I just don't think it's as grim because I can't speak to his study because I didn't read it. I didn't go into the footnotes and see where he got it. However, I do know that most music surveys that I've seen like just include anybody that's uploaded a song to Spotify in their calculations. So I recognize your point, but I'm agreeing with him. I'm just saying because I want to give artists some type of hope because I don't want to scare because that was the other topic that we actually had. Actually, that's a good. We only got a few minutes. Just throw Ryan's thing up real quick.
I don't want to give people hope. Quit. Get out of my way. You're diluting the flow of cash. Move, please. Go into another. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. They're making 6 figures by their second year. Get out of this industry and just do it as a hobby.
Erinn just announced the rebrand of her company from Build Your Own Dreams to Block Your Own Dreams. That's the rebrand.
No, I'm building a dream of I'm about to get a whole group of plumbers that I'm going to represent and manage instead of artists.
There you go. So
build your own pipe dream.
Yeah, there you go. So Ryan Schmidt, we've had him on here before. I'll just read what he says. When the comment section turns into "This is why I don't release music," it's a sign the conversation needs to change. We should be teaching musicians how to navigate the game, not scaring them out of playing it. So I like our platform because I feel like we give like real information that comes from our experience. We don't heavily lean, like if stuff is negative, we call it as negative. If we see as positive, we call it as positive. And I've talked about this in the past few weeks. It's like these educators turned content creators. They're now just kind of slaves to the YouTube algorithm because they've noticed that leaning into more negative topics and negative, taglines and things like that gets more people to watch their videos. I believe because most artists are in a negative space because they're not where they want to be, right? So I think that allows that. So those negative topics are more appealing to them, and it resonates more with them. But I think these content creators, I no longer call them educators; they're content creators. They are leaning more into that because YouTube rewards it. And they're painting the picture more grim than it actually is. Yes, it's extremely difficult. Let's talk about the realities of it. But you're not being scammed at every turn, right? Nobody's taking advantage of you at every turn. You don't have to be that guarded. So, maybe Ryan can come back and talk about it because I agree. I see it. I see all of these negative thumbnails and, you would think that the music industry is just savagery.
Well, you're caught between two of these kind of. It's like a damn near a paradox because on the one hand, you're saying what you're saying now, but then on the other hand, if we get too encouraging, you're like, wait, hold on, we don't want to encourage them too much.
Well, I think I think we have to have a balance, right? It's not between like the deepest, darkest place ever and like. Right. Yeah, do music, you're going to make a ton of bread. I'm closer to I'm definitely not right in the middle. Like, I think the reality is closer to the negative side, but it's not that dark. And it's especially not that dark if you educate yourself and move the right way. Right?
I agree with that. I think it is closer to dark, but I think but that's also because we're different type of people. It's like, all three of us, it's like, it doesn't matter whether it's dark, light, bright, whatever we want to do, we gonna go do. It doesn't matter how it looks. So I think that may be also paying part of the hard part. Cause it's like, you could find the piece of poop on the street and you could zoom in on that, and you could be like, this street is full of poop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people be like, Atlanta is so dangerous. Atlanta this, Atlanta that. And I'm like, man, this is a beautiful city. I love it. So it's a matter of perspective. But if you get attention from focusing on the negative, even if you don't know it's happening, it becomes amplified in your own mind. So it's like whatever you're feeding yourself is going to fester. And I heard Fawn Weaver say this yesterday. She was like, if you focus on the failure, that's all you're going to get. Like, you can only notice it, and then everything else has got to keep it moving. So I get it, but it's like, I do agree, the content creators. So now it's like the algorithm only feeds them negative stuff. So now all they have is more to talk about. So then they have confirmation bias and everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. Because when when you keep listening to that shit, you're giving yourself an excuse of why you're not winning. Right? You're constantly hearing, oh yeah, it's not my fault. It's because I just watched this video and this lawyer said that, you know, they're scamming you at every turn, so it's impossible for me to win. So it's really just an excuse and a way out. I got to cut. I don't know if anybody has any final thoughts.
I mean, you guys always say if someone's leaving a comment, this is why I don't upload any music. They probably were just looking for an excuse to quit anyway. So that's the other thing where it complicates the story. I think if everyone were just more honest with themselves, fewer people would be going into the music business. The stats wouldn't be as skewed and the picture wouldn't be as bleak. So having said that, if you are passionate or you're not and you just want to see, then hey, get your music up. It's free. You don't have to spend any money to see how your music does. You get 3 free full months of premium music distribution to test your tracks out in the market. Go to tolost.com, use the code MEC. And if it works for you or if you enjoy doing it, then continue on. It's like $1.70 something. It's really cheap. It's really, really, really cheap. tolost.com, code is MEC. And we appreciate you tuning in with us for another week. Peace.